All right, so we're live. Um, so didn't get a chance to trade this morning. It's Thursday, February 5th. Excuse me, March 5th, 2026. So let's kind of see what happened today. All right, I'm gonna switch to a different chart here. This is NQ. I took a couple trades overnight, nothing too crazy on these accounts. Haven't traded yet today in the New York session for these accounts. Did some pre and I had a couple trades after the open, um, but that was on Project X, which sucks, by the way, just for the record. So let's go to the daily or the 4 hour. Let's go on the 4 hour. So let's see what our 4 hour looks like. Man, we got a lot of lines here. Okay, so kind of confusing, right? Let's hide all the annotations for now. Let's hide the profile. So here's our initial balance. Oh, I'm on a is it because I'm on a profile chart? This is weird. Why? It shouldn't be like this. Oh, it's because I'm hiding annotations. That's why. It hides the bar. Okay, whatever. So let's do this. Let's get rid of some of this stuff we don't need. A lot of it's irrelevant, right? So, um, I don't want to get rid of everything though. So we're kind of in this range. That's good. Okay, so 4 hours. Um, so this is our 4 hour range. Looks like we bottomed out in this green zone. It was a wick of a previous day. See if anything looks interesting from here. Okay, not really. Nothing too exciting. All right, so deep trades, IBB, deep effort, custom, delta profile. Okay. So essentially, what's crazy is it's a green candle, right? So let me hide these annotations again. So it's a green candle, but it's negative delta. So, or positive delta, but but we've went down in the last 4 hours, right? So we broke a previous 4 hour low. And that was at the initial balance low, essentially. We just ripped through that. So how many points have we moved today? Holy shit, 482 points, 1.92%. Okay, so this is basically this candle is a big ass range in itself. So if this candle is a big ass range, man, are we gonna see? That's a big fucking candle with lots of volume. That's just crazy. So the thicker it is, the more volume. So if we look at all of these candles, right? These are 4 hour candles, mind you. This candle is fucking massive, right? You can look all the way back. This is all the way back to February 8th. All right. This candle right here is massive. Okay. It's a 400 plus point candle. It's a 1.73% 4 hour candle. Right. We've had others. Like, what's this one? This is 1.95, right? So this one's bigger, but it didn't have as much volume. Okay. This one is 1.72, 1.79, 1.84. So this one is bigger in height or length. Right, this one too. These are some big fucking 4 hour candles. This one's 1.84. Okay, so we're kind of, I guess my point is, after looking at that, is that we're probably due for a pullback. Okay, that would be my first guess. Okay, now let's just say this is a big ass 4 hour range. Um, from here all the way up to here, right? So that's the higher time frame. We've essentially bounced off the 50%, right? So we're in the golden pocket. Let me change this. Um, I use fibs for confluence to kind of help me find levels. All right, so we're in the point 0.5, 0.382 to 0.618. That's the golden pocket, okay? So we are in the golden pocket right here. Okay, we want to be outside of the golden pocket before we take a trade. Okay, so honestly, I'm gonna get rid of all these fucking things. I'm gonna start over with my analysis. So we're just gonna get rid of everything. It's just too busy. And I'm also gonna turn off some other things. We may not get a trade, so I'm not in a hurry to get into a trade. I'm not in a hurry to get into a trade at all. Um, so I guess we take off deep trades, deep IBBM. Actually, I want to see IBBM, and then we'll take off effort. So let's simplify because that was far too fucking busy. So first and foremost, we are in this big ass 4 hour range. Okay, you could say we're in this 4 hour swing range right here, right? But as far as I'm concerned, this is the higher time frame swing. Um, so if we look at it that way on the higher time frame, this is our all-time high. Is that the line I'm looking for? Yeah, so that's our all-time high. All right. Then we could draw out a trend line. So this is just standard technical analysis. Like this is just all my confluence stuff. I don't even really use this to trade. And then let's see another trend line. I don't know what this shit is right here. That just gonna ignore that. So we kind of have this. So we are slightly sloping up, and then we have like a descending triangle thing happening here on the 4 hour. So, and we're right at the 50%. Okay, so another way we could do this is maybe draw a channel. It's not a clean channel, but it's definitely not a clean channel, right? So I don't really like that. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's more like this triangle. Now we have this swing, right? This swing that we're talking about right here. I would anticipate that we would probably come back a little bit lower. So my first instinct is let's just say we're probably going to make it to there. But conservatively, I think that's my target. On the 4 hour, this would be, let's make that a different color. So this is just strictly on time-based candles, which I don't really trade on, but it is context. So let's start there. So we've got this 70% line right here. Actually, let's make it green. All right, so that's first. So I'm going to get rid of that. It's too much. So on average, we're already in extension. We passed the protection level and we rip through it. And the extension is usually going to be here. So I would assume that we could even come back to this protection level and then continue down as an example. Or we could come back to, honestly, this big ass candle here. If we do it this way, sorry, wrong way, from the top to the bottom because it went down. Okay. This would be my, just clearly based off fibs and levels that I think are interesting. And then we'll also put a dash there. So that's context. So that's our 4 hour context. Now let's add a volume profile to this. So this is multiple days, but this kind of gives us a little bit longer term profile here. And interesting. Um, that's kind of interesting. Look at how the high volume nodes are only right here. This is weird. That just looks weird to me. Um, to be honest, let me see what the settings are for that. So that's what that was. Okay, so let's add that in. Let me see if I got weird settings here or something. Volume 00 plot. Everything looks fine. That's really strange that there's no other delta. This looks like a bug to me. I'm going to be honest with you. This doesn't look right because we should have delta all along here and it's only showing the delta for what looks like the day, right? It's only showing the delta from here, not even. So that's kind of weird. Um, I don't like that. Honestly, I don't like that. It doesn't make sense to me why it's like that. So let's back off here. It can't be too much data. Let's just do it on this candle right here. And now we can't see it because it's behind the candle, right? Beautiful. Um, Same thing here. It's only showing the volume profile for today. What the hell is going on here? This isn't right. Okay, we're gonna come down to a 1 hour. Okay, so it doesn't like it on the 4 hour. All right, so that's kind of weird. So we're gonna have to do it this way. So that's what I'm looking at right there. Okay, so we drew these levels, this level and this level, right? These are pretty much our boundaries. Now let's take a look at delta and volume to try to identify some potential levels. So it looks like we came down to this low volume node, which was also a very high delta, negative delta candle. And then it looks like buyers stepped in right here. All right. So sellers got exhausted, maybe? So like, let's just say I'm just gonna take this purple zone right here. It looks like sellers are having a hard time, even with high delta, getting through this range. So, and if we look up, the highest delta node is at the very top of the value area, at the value area high. It would be right here. So this area right here is where buyers had no success moving the price farther, just rejected. Um, so that would be another area if we return to it. That's likely gonna get rejected or possibly cleaned, making its way back up to this trend line area, maybe for extension. Or on a shorter time frame, what we could add trend lines on the hourly, right? That might be a shorter term trend. Do we continue down or do we break back into this Dorito? It's 1 hour range, right? So that would be just another potential. Right? That kind of gives me a playing field to see what's up. Do we break back into this and then work our way back up? Or do we continue down for another leg and push down to here? Don't know. But the bias is short. Okay, so we had lots of green. Working our way back up, retracing, bouncing off the top again, and then working our way back down to the value area low. So we're going to work our way back up to this point of control, or we're going to work our way down from here back towards extension. So we got a couple different paths that we need to pay attention to. Obviously, we've marked a potential rejection level here and here, but we've also marked the top of the range where we would likely see responsive selling again on any initiative attempt to push price up higher towards these highs to the left. It's also a high volume node right here. So even first, we're likely to return all the way up to the point of control. So when I look at this, I think this area is more likely to be the area where we get rejected from. Somewhere between here, based off the selling pressure. I think it returns here. Could be a little bit lower. All right, so if we really wanted to be aggressive, we're going to bounce from the lower part of this range. If I want to be a little more conservative, this is moved up about, that's about 42 points difference from here. Okay, so that's a 42-point difference between these two lines right here. So that is our greedy entry, putting our stop behind this high right here. So that would be one option. Now, so we came down to this low volume node right here. which is this. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see better. So we can see this high volume node, and right in front of it is this low volume node right here, and it has high negative delta, and it's one of the higher delta nodes, and it looks like we have a battle right here. So we have a battle going on between buyers and sellers right here. So we're going to turn that gray. That's what I see. Right. Right there. So we kind of need to hold this level, and then I expect us to retrace back up. So if I see a strong movement up here, I may get into a long because I have a very clear invalidation, right? If we break through this again, if we break through the shelf and come down and break through this next shelf below, we're pretty much going to keep going down, possibly to the next shelf or all the way down to this next low volume node, which is basically the extension level. Again, another area. But to be honest, this area right here looks like the best area. Okay, and if we drew another fib, you can kind of see, just trying to put the piece of a puzzle together to get the best quality setup. This would be 70%. Let's change this to a standard fib or a more standard fib. Configuration. So that's going to be 786, the 881-ish line. So it could be here as well. Kind of like this better. Then the stop goes behind here. And then we can take it back up to the point of control, or even here, take one off and then take the rest up. So that looks pretty good to me. So now we have a couple levels identified. If we break this level, I'm taking a short down to here. Could only come to here as well, right? But lots of buying pressure here and another shelf. And that's the extension average. So, whew. All right. So let's be a little more greedy. And is there another entry? It could be right here. So essentially, we turn this into our zone. And let's turn it. Oh my God, green. Man, I need to get like a mouse pad. My mouse is skipping all over the place. All right, so now we have levels. We can get rid of this profile. All right, now let's look at something else. Let's add the deep trades and let's see if we can get more confluence. All right, so we clearly have lots of aggressive buying by big players stepping in here. So there's a big ass battle. So now here's where we really start to fine tune our analysis. So you can see these bubbles, right? We're on a 60-minute candle. So this is an hourly. So you can see lots of trades happening in this region, right? Lots of action. And although there's negative delta because the candle is printing a light pink, it's light. So there's a little aggressive buying dominance. But here's the thing, buyers look like they are absorbing all of the aggressive sellers. So right now, it looks like it's going up. And we're going to go down to a 40 range chart now. So this is what I actually trade off of if I'm doing like, I would call this scalping. So we go to a 40 range and it'll, the bubbles will present a little bit better. All right. And less will print and they will be more specific. So right here, we can see that sellers got absorbed. They pushed the price down, buyers stepped in, they push it again, the buyers won here, and then they got absorbed again right in this zone. So what's also printing, interestingly enough here, let's put the deep, let's print the deep effort. Okay, so now you can see additional green zones have printed, which are kind of validating my thesis that we're moving back up. So deep trades. All right, so we got deep trades. And I'm going to turn these on and off so you can see. See these purple and green zones? Those are zones where we can expect price to uh, be protected because there was effort to move price away from those zones. So these are green zones and they haven't been tapped yet since being created. So we could see a retracement, and we're going to actually get into a trade here if it fires to down here. Now this is where sellers protected before and they made a little progress, then got absorbed. So we're going to come back to this zone right here. And that's where we're going to try to enter. And it got absorbed here and absorbed here. You can see this pinkish purple line. So we're going to put our stop loss behind our zone. It's a $300 risk. Actually, I don't think we want to do that. Just one contract. We're keeping it small. We're just practicing. There's always another trade. So we're going to come back. I think that's a good entry. And put our stop loss behind the zones. That's a $62 risk with a take profit. Let's see where buyers got absorbed. Right here. So we had some big players get absorbed here. So our take profit is going to be, and it may not come back. Take it to right there. So 62 risk to win 96. No stress trade. I would be even as so far as to be able to reduce the risk down to $42. So I think that's fair because we have lots of protection here. We have lots of buying pressure coming up. One wave, retracement, another wave, retracement, another wave. And all of this aggressive or positive delta, price tried to break away and then we just pushed back through it. So it just got some more momentum. And so I kind of feel like buyers are in control. I do expect sellers to push back, maybe from right here. That could be a short, actually. Or this could be a short. So it just never came back, right? It just never came back to the zone. Unless, no, it just never came back. So this could have been a nice short counter trend back down into this zone. Um, and absorption there. Okay, I want to actually take this. This is a scalp market sell. We're going to put the stop loss between here. We're going to put the take profit down at the range here. It's just a little scalp back down. Could be wrong. We could be off, right? Could keep continuing up. But just super quick, right? Super easy decision. I guess the best thing would be to put this behind here. Oh, why 5? What? Oh, it's 1. Okay. I was going crazy there for a minute. I thought I saw 5. I need new contact lenses. So we get stopped out. So loss number 1. Like, I'd be happy to get back in if we see these aggressive buyers being absorbed up here. Like right here, I'd be willing to take one more shot. Like right here, I'm gonna market sell it. We're gonna try one more time. Taking profit down here. Okay. Putting our stop loss above this. Actually, let's make it tighter. That's not, we don't need to take on that much risk. Those right there. So 21 to take 79. So the biggest thing I've learned is just to really minimize your risk. Take the losses. It's okay to be wrong. I know you've probably heard this a million times. You have to learn for yourself, just like I am learning. I still do stupid shit. But because I was very conservative and I had my stop placed in an area that I thought was protected, I could limit the loss so that I could get in with another opportunity and still be profitable. Take 2 trades, be profitable with one of them. And my thesis is that's going to move all the way back down. Now, this is interesting. So these zones have just been invalidated. So essentially, it might not come back because there's been a lot of upward effort to continue to push it up. It may not come back down to this level. My experience is just because one of these zones, I don't know what turns them off, to be honest, because sometimes these zones that get printed, these effort zones, they print and they stay there for quite some time and then they disappear. And sometimes once they get tapped and get moved away from, they disappear. But I don't know the logic behind the algorithm as to why and what makes them turn on and turn off, basically extend to the right. But truth be told, if we break through here, this is going to give us good information. So again, I take another loss. We're down 50, 60 bucks. We're still up 100. I'm still not against taking a short. However, the game plan changes a little bit. If we break out of this zone, I'm going to have pretty much a clear target to take a long. But the bias is still short. So I should get a pretty good short entry. And we're so close here, and it looks like we're getting some aggressive selling pressure right here. kind of where they stepped in before. This is a big selling zone, and if we look over here to the right, here's where seller stepped in and made some progress. So I am going to take another short, and I'm going to turn this long off, and my stop loss is going to be above the resistance, or this area where buyers failed to break through before. Truth be told, though, this protection zone is often retested. So this would not be invalid, but I want to keep the risk very, very tight because I'm expecting a pullback. And still, we're going to take this and we're going to use our fibs to kind of give us a reference point. And then we'll also use some of that volume profile to give us some options. So one nice target here could be the 50%, which basically takes us back to break even. A little more aggressive of a target would be down here. But instead of just trying to guess with fibs, right? It could definitely still come back here to like the 786. Let's put a regular fib on here again. I like to see the other lines. So just because you lose a trade, not a big deal, right? Like we have a plan. It's hard to articulate everything that I'm seeing, but it's like step after step after step. Just because you get stopped out doesn't mean anything. It gives you information. As long as you protect yourself, you can always get back in and just be very greedy with your entries. That's what I found. And just the losses are so small, they're unemotional. That's another thing that helps keep them unemotional, at least for me, right? I don't even care about losing anymore. At first, I didn't want to lose a trade. Now I just don't care. So I think the best bet here is to draw a volume profile and let's just see where buyers step back in right here at the 30%. We have a high volume node. So I don't know. This looks like a low volume node with I'm saying maybe right there. That's a nice target. We could definitely just pull back to the point of control of this particular swing and continue up. 100% possible. If we break this swing right here with price, and we can break through this 38.2% line and this POC, I'll move my stop to break even. Actually, I should bring it above this swing high. So now we're only taking on 27 dollars of risk to win 89. Okay, if we look at a couple other things that are pretty interesting, right? So this swing right here is, I don't know, what is that? 88 points. So let's look at the swing prior. 89 points. Let's look at the swing prior. Oh, that's not the prior. That's two prior. 95 points. Let's look at the swing here. 100 points. So we could expect to retrace surely 58 points, right? even this smaller swing here was 74. And this smaller swing right here was 51. So you can look at all kinds of things to help you measure a move. But what I looked at is where sellers tried to push the price down and buyers just were like, nope, we're going to step in here. Now, even if we get close to this, I'm not going to let that go, right? But we hit our targets, so check that out. We are now profitable. So we're 1 for 3 on trades and we're up like $30, $40. So that's kind of an example of how I use all this data to make a decision. And you can see we're just bouncing off that area like perfectly. Could we take a long back up here? Absolutely, we can. But it may retrace all the way down to this 7.07 line and then start to make its way back up. And that actually looks like that's what's happening. So it's a combination, right? It's not just fibs, it's not just levels, it's aggressive delta, it's volume profile, and the more of the things that you can kind of put in these effort zones that you could put together to help paint a picture. Okay, interesting. So this zone right here, this is one of those effort zones from the algorithmic indicator I'm using. So it came down, it created this effort zone. It actually came back and tapped into it and left it. See how big and wide the zone? That's strong. So this is a strong rejection right here. Absolutely strong. And then sellers that got to push the price down here with pressure and pushed it down here again, they returned. They're still here. So sellers are in control. All right. That's still my bias. But we could still trade both ways. I mean, especially with scalping, right? If you kind of know. So let's see this range, right? We retrace back. It could have another leg. 60 points, right? So we took about 2/3, right? So you think 60 plus percent, right? 60 to 70%. 50 is like kind of a more aggressive entry. If you let things retrace about half of the distance of whatever the last swing was. So everything you can put together to make things stronger, it makes it a better setup. So that last setup I like a lot. It pretty much rejected exactly from this area right here. Right. And you can see that's where the aggressive buyer stepped in before and they're still there. Now let's see if there were more. It should grow, right? They stepped in here now. So to be honest, this is where they're at. And the sellers, they're right there. And still a lot of aggressive buying pressure. So temporarily, buyers are in control. But it looks like some aggressive sellers just printed, and that's a big entity who just popped that's 34 contracts. Okay, that's too low. I must have that set for overnight. Let's print. Um, we want 60 contracts during New York. So right now there's no big institutions pushing around orders. So generally small players right now. Down here, some heavy absorption of large institutional orders, some buyers and sellers fighting right here. Looks like other than that, no super large aggregated orders. And that's from yesterday. No, that's today. Sorry. That's from 13:54 Eastern time. That's 13:31. So right now on the bottom here, we're going to kind of change this zone. This is how I kind of just, as the battlefield changes, I just come through and find where I want to play from. So that's the zone that I want to play from right now. Get rid of everything that's irrelevant. Can always come back and redraw. And now we're gonna consolidate for a while. Is what I'm saying we're gonna do is this right here. So you could play this range if you wanted. At least I could play this range if I wanted. Worst part of this app is the drawing tool, by the way. So it's crap. It's absolute shit. But other than that, the program and platform is, I love it, by the way. I love the platform. Things can't be perfect. So we expect sellers to return here, but as I said, there's no real big players getting involved. It's maybe it's profit taking, right? Maybe this range is established. This isn't a daily range. This is the last swing range. If we come back out to a higher time frame, um, do a daily profile. So that's for the day. So I would say our next area that we probably, if we break up through protection here, if we break up through this zone, I'm not, oh man, this looks like we're going to turn around just from a structural standpoint. I'm not saying it will, but if you look over here on the daily profile, we just have all of this area that we kind of just ripped through. And then we have a shelf like right here. Then we had a bunch of aggressive sellers really push price down right here and extend it. So this was a strong move. So I anticipate us returning, if we come up, this area right here is going to be defended. So that's what I'm looking at. If we break through this level and can hold it and retest it, I'm looking to go up to the red zone. If we break through this red level, I may be interested in taking it down lower to this extension average. But at the moment, this area right here looks like aggressive buyers are not here anymore. Or excuse me, aggressive sellers are not here anymore. And it looks like this is where price is probably going to react from again. So those are kind of our levels. And we'll get rid of this gray zone because it's just confusing. So now we have our playing field. And we broke through this level and it's happening fast, right? So we're going to look for a retest. Okay, we're gonna look for a retest. So sellers just stepped in. All right. Looking for a retest of this level. And if we can aggressive buyers step in, well, now we're getting some aggression. So some big players are stepping back in up here. Some buyers try to push it through, some sellers absorbed. If we get some aggressive buying back through this zone, right now it's showing that we had lots of selling pressure. So if price comes back to this zone, we should probably take a short. It could be a pretty inexpensive short. So I don't know, man. Just very tight with it, like because you have all these aggressive sellers, right, from here all the way down to here. Okay, so I can put my stop here. I think behind this group right here, but that's a pretty wide stop. What if we go one contract? What does that look like? It may not come back, like to be honest. Like it just may not come back. So this would look like conservative. So I'm just thinking in my brain here. So many thoughts are going on, I can't speak. Trying to find the target TP level. So it's a 1-to-1. Now we had this green zone printed, even better. Okay, so now I'm willing to take a play in either direction because we're probably going to consolidate. We're starting to build some value here. We're probably can consolidate in this range right here. As I said, it's just a wider range. We're back to that 70, 80. It's that 78 point range. Retrace down. Man, this is crazy. Higher lows, higher highs. I think this is a market buy, and we're going to take it back up to this zone right here, and then we're selling. And our stop loss is going to be behind the zone. Ooh, that's not good. We printed another lower effort zone. I think I'm exiting that trade once we hit this zone here. I don't like it. I don't like how that zone printed. So we're out. But we broke through that zone, so sellers are strong. Um, so I just essentially, man, it's moving. I kind of don't want to be in this trade. Buyers got absorbed up here, but they do have some momentum. We're gonna reduce our risk. I'll take the loss if I get back to break even. I'm gonna pretty much get out of this trade. I want it to calm down a little bit. Okay, I'm out. So let me reevaluate here. It's moving pretty fast. We did come back in and tap into this green effort zone. We actually did go back and tap into the purple zone that I was interested in. So I just got out a little premature because I saw more selling effort. So back to my point is I shouldn't have gotten too worried there because I did say we're in a consolidation range. So a little bit of cognitive dissonance there when I saw the fast price action happening. Um, but we are out, and for good reason because it looks like it wants to continue upward for the moment, and it may be heading towards the VWAP. It would be nice to get a retest of this red area here before we make a move back up to VWAP. So I would, man, it's starting to make higher highs. This could be just a pullback to the VWAP before continuing down lower. If we draw a trend line here, like that, and on the bottom end, like that. Then if we take a fib from the top here to the bottom, that swing, that's the 50%, that's a 61.8. I think it wants the VWAP. Let's see if we can get a pullback though. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, I think we're gonna go test that VWAP. So we're getting a nice little pullback. Still feeling kind of short, but for the short term, I think we go higher. See if we can get a pullback down to this trend line or this red zone, this buy zone that I identified earlier. It's kind of modified a little bit because it changes, right? It's dynamic. It's not a static thing. The market is dynamic. Shit moves, so you got to kind of go with the flow, move with it. So super low key, super non-stressful, super small size, just nickel and diamond. Okay, so let me pull up because we may take a trade up here. We got another sell zone, another sell effort zone, and that is this area right here. But lots of buying going on here too. So let's see who wins. So my plan is to see what happens at the VWAP here. And this is like a really strong, man, there's a lot of resistance. Well, there's a lot of selling pressure here. Like this whole area is going to be really hard to get through. Okay, I feel really bearish here. So that's my zone. I think we're going to have a really hard time breaking through that, even up to 24,966. But maybe that 24,960. This is going to be a challenge. I wouldn't mind taking a short from up here because I think there's lots of protection. So I can put a nice tight stop. And that's retesting the 's high volume node here. So that's the top of it. Yeah. Honestly, this is this green line right here that I have marked. The fuck is that green line? Thought I put that green line there. Apparently, I can't access it. So, didn't I put that green line there? What the fuck? What is that green line? Anyways, this is it right here. Okay, right. Yeah, this is a crazy zone right there. I think we have a really hard time getting through that. So I think I'm short. Let's look for a short. We might have one right here. And if not, we have one up here. All right, if we pump through this zone, we're not going to give up yet. And I'm not taking this zone because I do feel like we have a lot of selling here, but I kind of feel like we can get up to this VWAP because it's a magnet. And that's the end of it. Especially like I don't even know if we get up to the VWAP to be honest with you. Like this white dotted line in the middle of that red zone looks like this looks like my short right here. Stop loss behind the zone. Take profit. Back at the protection level. Right, where sellers got absorbed. That would be a sick trade. So let's see how that plays out. That's our plan. I mean, we could put it behind this swing high here. So a lot of protection. It's going to be really hard to get through that red zone here. It's going to be really hard. I'm still trying to figure out what is this fucking green line here. I thought I put that line there, but I can't access it. So whatever. It's inaccessible. I have no idea. I don't usually have a green line on the profile. So I'm a little confused. Let's see, can I delete it? No. All right, I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it. So we did break through that zone as expected. So it's not just because the zone prints, it doesn't mean shit, right? It doesn't mean anything. this means more to me. We're getting this pullback, right? And I'm going to buy, and my stop loss is going to be down here where my take profit is. My take profit is going to be right at this midline. We could take a little heat up here, right? Because um, there is a little bit more room to the VWAP, the daily VWAP. But we're protected behind these aggressive buyers, right? We had this F max or high effort zone. We broke through this red zone that I identified earlier as an area of battle, and we're retesting it. And we had some sellers step back in as expected, but I think there's more room to the top because we're close to the VWAP. So we're going to get buyers trying to that think we're rotating back up to the top. They're in a discount below the VWAP and the point of control, so they're getting a good price to enter. This is pretty steep up. So I like how this is looking. And I actually want to move this up to the VWAP. So we also have that trend line. We could come all the way up to the trend line and then test it. So let's have some fun with that. So I would definitely call my general style of trading more of an order flow, momentum, hyper scalp. The less amount of time I'm in a trade, the happier I am. So I'm trying to learn how to hold positions for longer periods of time based off good TA and just delta and volume and all that good shit. But we're perfectly okay taking L's, right? Because all we can do is execute our plan, and whatever happens, happens. And there's always another trade. All that cliche bullshit. I still have a short bias, by the way. So we're gonna do. I don't even know what's going on here. I know I have these two. I don't know which one's which. Um, so I think once we get close, I'm just gonna flatten everything out so that it doesn't trigger the order yet. So we're gonna take the money right there and then reevaluate. Could get a little pullback here before it goes back up, and we could actually re-enter down where these sellers got absorbed if it doesn't go straight to the VWAP. So pretty good. Since starting the stream, we're up about $100. Just trading one account today, right now. Pulling up, just for the record, we got a lot going on, but I'm up overnight and this morning 483 on my static account and 200 on my end of day. I think I only took a couple trades there. And if you look at the stats, just to kind of keep y'all, they're not the best out of 12. This I YOLO'd, but generally speaking, I'm trading well. I lose when I YOLO, basically. And that's what I'm trying to learn not to do. But, 81%, 1.32 profit factor, my loss is 3 times bigger than my win. Not the best, but worst trade 954. Ugh, best trade 164. So you can kind of see it's not the best. Other account looks similar, probably worse. And I'm down on this one just because all of the YOLOs, right? Smaller winning days, larger losing days. So I'm trying to get away from trading like that. All right, so we hit the VWAP and we're almost to the trend line, and we also have 70%, right? Back to what I marked earlier, we have this 70% line. And if we come on over here, shit, we're probably going all the way to the, we could go all the way to the point of control. All right, so this would be the next, I think I marked that. I didn't mark that level. All right, let's go here. So by not holding that trade up to the VWAP, I shorted myself a few dollars, but man, I'm happy to take that, right? Happy. I just didn't trust myself 100% to take it to the target, which that comes with time and confidence. So we have another effort zone. We are likely going to come back and have a retest down here, but I would expect that. Um, let's see if I can find a better zone. Let's get rid of these daily. That's a little. Let's find it from this most recent large swing. So the downswing that created the high and the low. So we're going to include the previous swing. And man, there's not a lot of selling pressure up here. This would be, that's the area to short from. To clean this up a little bit. Oh, it's the IVB high. No wonder it was hidden. It's the initial balance high. So we're back. Holy fuck. Or the initial balance low. Sorry. So we're back at the initial balance low. Fuck, I didn't see that IVB there. Okay. So that's like important, right? Fucking hidden. All right, let's get rid of this profile. We don't need it right now. So this is a protection level where sellers should step in if they want to continue to push the price down. If not, if it retraces and continues up, looks like this trend line is being respected too. We could see price go all the way up to the point of control. And we'll put the daily back on. So the point of control is up here. So my short zone, that's not valid. Short zone is right there. So that's really why I like delta and volume profile and these big trades, because you can see where the most likely areas. These sellers stepped in here, got pummeled. Sellers stepped in here, price went up and then reversed. Sellers stepped here, failed, price came up, ripped back down. Sellers stepped in lower, right here. Price came all the way down. Now it's working its way back to retest. So this zone right here near the point of control, completely valid. Um, so right now, looks like we're getting a retracement. So again, I would expect aggressive buyers to step in right here. They could come all the way down to the next red zone right here. So either or, both are valid. But you will see that from this swing down to the bottom, we retraced. Let's put a regular fib on there to 61.8, and we are now in the golden pocket. So putting us back into the POC is a 78.6 between a 7. Dude, it's yeah, we're getting a I'm short from the POC. That would be my trade with a very tight stop behind somewhere around this gold line here at 25,060. Maybe 25,050 is the where we're going next. Shit, it's 1:30. Holy fuck, I've been streaming for an hour and a half. So $100 in an hour and a half of work. Yeah, I make that in my day job, but it's still good money for the um not bad for the day. So knowing that it's 1:30 right now, it looks like we're working back towards the point of control. So my bias right now is to maybe just stay out, maybe just call it a day. Just go for a nice move back up to the top, to the point of control here, to the 7.07 line would probably be a good. Might take a little scalp if we break above this 618 line. Might take a little scalp up on see what account. Let's open up Legends. I only have one eval here. Let's do it on this account. One contract, MNQ. We're looking at the NQ price action though, trading on the MNQ. Yeah, we're also approaching a higher time frame, two a higher time frame VWAPs from the most previous swing high, swing lows. Okay, it's a little harder to put them on this chart, but if I'll just put one on just for a moment. So from this swing up here all the way down, you can see that we're almost to this VWAP right here. And likewise, from this swing low all the way to this swing or to the current price, The VWAP is essentially, here, let's just overlay them. Why not? Everything's context, right? So you can kind of see how I build confluences. They're right on top of each other. Okay, so how about that? The math is the math. And we're respecting the trend line. We're in the golden pocket of the fibs. I just don't know, like, what else. Not a bad day though. So we're looking at 483 plus 200, 683, 783 plus 60. That's 840 plus 200, 940, $1,000 trading day across 4 evaluation accounts. So we just broke above that range. Now we're testing this trend line, which the trend line is a frame of reference. We've had aggressive sellers step in this area before. Prices reacted from it. So we could just, it's kind of a little imbalance area here. Some might call it a fair value gap. These are 40 range charts, so it's a little different because all of the candles are the same amount of ticks. So you don't get these really long candles. The way we look at the, or I look at the volume for any given range of ticks that price moves is how fat the candle is. The fatter the candle, the higher the volume. And then the more positive delta, the greener and darker the candle is, and the more negative delta, the deeper the purple the candle is on the way down. So they're volume delta based candles and tick based candles instead of time based candles. So this right here, this is a buy. It's just a little scalp. I wouldn't call it 58. I think we come up. So once we get to 20, we're actually gonna move this up. Risking 49. We can definitely retrace back farther, but I'm using these green tick-based candles that are strong with volume as my support. And you had all this negative delta aggressive selling. It just got absorbed and prices continuing to move up. So we're now testing this trend line, which, like I said, the trend line to me doesn't, it's a reference more so than price is going to react here. It reacts there because there's other shit going on. So I expect it to rip through this one, right? So like if I was taking a trend line bounce trade there, I'm going to get stopped out because I think price, or my intention is that price is going to come all the way up here. And crazy, it actually respected it, right? Let's see if we can look to the left and see why did it respect it. Did it respect it because it's a trend line? Probably respected it because prices reacted from there before to the left. And I would get into this trade again, by the way, if I get stopped out. I would really like to put my stop down here, but I'm not willing to take on that much risk on this trade. Sellers are making some progress here, and price could rip all the way down, which would be a significant loss. So I'm willing to risk $50 of my 150 in profit to take my chance. And this is basically locked in. In my eyes, I've already lost it, right? So I just gave $50 to the market. I kind of have to feel like, okay, thank you. Thank you for taking my money. You're welcome. But there's a lot of support here. And if we break through it, that's a strong signal that we're probably going to rotate down. But it being the end of the day, close to most market on close, um, I'm leaning that we come back to the point of control to balance out. We also still haven't hit those two VWAPs that I was discussing up here. All right, we can hit those two VWAPs. That's the same ones I showed you before that were drawn from the swing high, swing low, just on a different chart. But there's no guarantees. Right there would have been a better entry because that's where sellers got absorbed before and buyers stepped in before. This is a little tight, right? This technically should be behind here. Let's see. Like I'm just gonna just say I'm just not taking on more risk. So I decided already, right? But it's probably safer to put the stop here or here. But I made my decision. So it is what it is. You got to talk to yourself too and say that because man, you start to get that cognitive dissonance. You're like, no, well, shit, right? Like the first thought is, get out, it's going down, right? But I have good information. We have this effort zone that printed before. Technically, probably better to put it behind this zone. So to me, everything says this is the best place for it. But I made the decision not to take on more risk. So what I would likely do is if I get stopped out here and price comes back down to retest the bottom of this zone, I would likely re-enter here, trying to take one last push back up to the longer term VWAPs and point of control. No guarantees. And we get stopped out. So it's all right. Just a little tight. That's all. And look at that, right? Just a little tight. Better to be tight. I'm telling like I'm fine with it. 100% fine with it. So now let's play this fib game, which I should have probably did before. I just we're at that 70% now. I get a little push up. We're going to take a long back up to at least that 50%. And we're in. A little premature there. I have his zone marked. I'm going to take profit back up here at the area where sellers got absorbed. Nice little quick scalp. Stop loss behind the next area of defense. It's basically a 1-to-1. Very nice. And expect another retracement. This is where we start to make our way back down, or we break through back up to the point of control. So this is my zone. It's crazy how it just reacts perfectly to that zone, right? And retraces. It's crazy how these fibs get respected. It's a 786, little deep just pull back, then to the 382, maybe all the way down to the one, right? There's nothing that says we can't continue to go down or up. The the momentum is on the seller side though. They protected to the left where price has reacted before, which just happens to be in coincide with this trend line. Then we had a strong push down. Buyers tried to return and got pushed down even more. And broke this short term noisy trend line, creating a new trend line angle. I don't know if we have enough buying interest to initiate a move through these two purple effort zones. My first thought is to take at this point, with this price action and going with the flow, my first thought is to take a short out of this zone if we tap it. Looks like we had strong selling pressure through here. But I think I'm just going to sit out, being, I think, 2 minutes away from MOC. Could go either way, right? So let's see. See how it plays out using all of the tools. All right, so now we get a buying zone. So now are we going to just consolidate back and forth here? Or do we get a push back up to the point of control and the VWAP? If we're going to reject, we should reject at the initial balance high here, or low, sorry. If we break through this initial balance low and return, we may get to the point of control. So this is a line in the sand pretty much for today's close. We broke through this short-term trend line, so that is a little bit of bullish, and we broke through these sell zones nearly. We could take like a little scalp back down to the green zone, unless this purple zone gets broken. But the resistance is right here. There's also a shelf, right? High volume node. And the question is, are there still aggressive buyers up here? And the answer is yes. So we're going to buy, we're going to take profit, put our stop loss behind the aggressive zones, take one last shot on a nice little short trade back up to our initial target. And then call it a day. That'll be our last trade, and then we'll probably shut the video down, and I'll probably just chill out and go watch 0 Day J's like uh 0 Day J's trading. So now we return to those VWAPs that I was discussing before. So we're there, and we rejected from them. So we may not push up any higher. But my thought is we're going for the point of control, because at the end of the day, generally things try to balance out. Not always. Lots of aggressive buying here. We have lots of protection. Like I said, aggressive buyers step back in. I expect one more push up. We're in the MOC now, so we should get one more push of liquidity, big orders, and let's see if we get a win, or we lose 66. See what happens. Do buyers step back in here? So much fun. I love trading. So the effort is on the buyer's side for the moment. Eight minutes to close. See if we get one more drive up. There's the buyers. Sellers are trying to push the price back down. Aggressive buyers stepped in. Are there passive buyers here and aggressive buyers here to push it just a little bit higher? So this looks good for a couple of reasons, right? We broke above the trend line. We have lots of buying pressure. Aggressive buyers are stepping in higher and higher. Aggressive sellers are being absorbed. Prices moving up. Lower wicks are still being created. There's less wicks to the top side. And we may not make it there, but we're damn sure going to give it a shot. We are damn sure going to give it a shot. Six minutes. I believe, I don't know if there's one more push of liquidity here at 55 after. I'm not sure like how that happens, but I always heard people talking about, but you saw here's one injection, here's another injection, and there's another one at 54, still pushing the price up. Still aggressive buyers stepping in. Looks so juicy. Let's just look at the volume profile here. Look at all the aggressive buyers Look at all these big delta, big delta, pushing the price up, reducing our risk. Starting to lose a little bit of steam there. Do we get the push? Oh, come on, baby. We were so close. So close. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. One time. Oh, there's a cell zone. Shit. Let's let's follow this up. That's not the best. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. Oh, we took our profit. So these zones are pretty dangerous, right? So we took our profit. We almost made it there, and just protecting because that's a lot of selling effort right there. And we're right near MOC, so I almost made it to the target. Dragged us stopping to take profit. We end up making about $28 on that trade. It could still go higher, right? We could definitely make it there. There's no doubt. But when I see this heavy selling pressure zone print, I'm just gonna take my money and run. Okay, so we end up one tick away. We make one tick away up. So we make it there. All right. So again, a little premature with the exit, but better safe than sorry. Good trade, good analysis, good levels. I don't think the price is going to go up too much higher. If we go back to the daily profile, let's look at where the point of control is for the day. Then we'll close the video out. Um, Shit, we're above the point of control for the day. So maybe that's why. Okay. So yeah, the point of control. Oh, I think this is the level I was looking at, right? This yellow line here. So we left a little money on the table. We ended the day with a win. Levels are pretty good. Saw the market pretty good for the last 2 hours. Took a few trades, made a little bit of money, learned some stuff, and we're ready for the evening session. So I'm gonna head out. If you actually watched the video and you made it to the end, you are a fucking legend. And I don't sell anything. I don't have affiliate programs with anything. So just know that um, I'm just here to share what I'm seeing and how I see the markets and how I navigate and the tools I use to help become a better trader and execute plans without getting emotional. Like, see, sometimes when these zones print, they make me emotional, right? Because they give me information. There's like, okay, there's selling pressure there. So, one last thing. So, when you see that zone print, you see this little area of purple where they just stepped in and tried to push the price down, but buyers just overwhelmed them. I should have not freaked out because I didn't see any big aggressive selling bubbles print. So, note to self, don't freak out next time. I left $15, $20 on the table. So, could have been 200 instead of 178. So, with that, best of luck in your trading, y'all. If you like the content, you can always hit the subscribe button, right? I'm not going to ask you to like and all that shit because it doesn't really matter, I guess. Have a good one. Peace out.